This is a preview of Trauma Center Trauma Sensitive Yoga, or TCTSY. There are two things I wanted to tell you about this practice. So one is about interoception and the other is about choice making. So interoception is a basic survival system. It allows us to feel what we need in order to survive. It has two functions. One of those is to monitor and respond to internal states in order to preserve life. So that might be noticing when we're hungry, or noticing when we're thirsty, or noticing when we're about to touch something that's too hot and we need to pull our hand away. The other function is what constitutes our sense of self, or our material me. It's that we know that we are somebody. It's our sense of consciousness, or this awareness of self. So this can get dysregulated in people who have trauma, and our ability to interpret our body's signals can get disrupted, and then our ability to care for ourselves can get disrupted. So this practice invites us to strengthen and restore the process of interoception, and that we're able to rekindle this relationship with our bodies that might have been severed as a result of trauma. It invites us to learn how to listen to our body's signals and then how to respond to them in a way that's supportive. Our body's always speaking to us in a language that we may have forgotten how to speak, and this practice allows us to learn our body's language again. So throughout this practice, we're invited to listen to our body's language. Our body speaks to us through the form of sensation. It might be hunger or thirst, or maybe anger or sorrow. In yoga, our body speaks to us in sensation when we make forms or shapes with our bodies. So when we lift our arm up, we might notice a sensation in through the side of our body. And as we cultivate this practice of noticing, we strengthen our ability to really listening. And that listening allows us to respond. So this goes along with the second part of what I wanted to share with you, the choice making. This practice invites us to make choices in response to our body's sensations. So when we lift our arm up, we can listen to the sensation, respond how high we want to lift our arm. So maybe it feels best to lift the arm to shoulder height, or maybe it feels best to lift the arm up toward the ceiling, or anywhere in between. And maybe it feels neutral, and that's okay. Just by practicing, we restore the regions of the brain that are responsible for interoception. And it might take a while before we get really skilled at listening and responding, but we can learn to listen and respond again in our own way and in our own time. And we get to decide. The choice, the agency is ours. And that's the other part of making choices, is that we get to foster and strengthen our agency. This is also something that gets disrupted as a result of trauma. So by practicing making choices, we can practice and strengthen our autonomy, our right to decide what to do with our bodies. And while this is something that we practice on our mats, it's also something that ultimately we get to extend out into the world to make choices in what we do and who we are and how we show up. And it allows us to get to know ourselves again, who we are and why we're here, in our own time and in our own way. And so I'd like you to know that there's no good or bad choices you can make in this practice. These shapes or forms are just different variations. There's no right or wrong way to practice. The invitation is to be with yourself in a way that is curious and present and responsive. And so I'd also like you to know that you're free to change or modify or make your way out of a practice at any time for any reason. So if you'd like to join, you're welcome to in any way that works best for you. It might be maybe seated or standing. You might begin by noticing your surroundings. So maybe that's noticing what you can see, hear. You might be able to notice a scent or taste. You might be able to notice something you can feel. Maybe that's that felt sense of your body on the mat. Or maybe it's something like the temperature of the air in the room. You're invited to stay in stillness, but if you want to, you might choose to find movement, and you can do that in any way that works for you. But one way might be to bring one ear toward one shoulder. Just as much or as little as you'd like. You might decide if it feels best to leave your gaze forward or turn your gaze down towards your armpit. If you chose that, you might notice some sensations through the side of your neck. And you're welcome to stay there. If you want to, you could choose maybe to make your way back in toward the center. And then you might decide that it feels right for you to draw the other ear toward the other shoulder. You could choose to leave your gaze forward or maybe turn your gaze towards your armpit. And if you chose that, you might notice some sensation through the open side of your neck. You might like to stay there, or maybe you'd like to lift your gaze, maybe come back in toward the center any amount. And you can choose to rest your gaze forward, or maybe you'd like to lift your gaze, your chin up toward the ceiling any amount. If you chose that, there could be some sensation to the front of your body. Like decide it feels best to stay here, or maybe you'd like to make your way back and toward the center. You can stay there, maybe you'd like to draw your chin down toward your collarbones. If you did that, it could be that you notice some sensation through the back of your neck, but leaving room for the possibility that there might not be any sensation at all. You can choose to stay here, or maybe you'd like to lift your gaze, your chin back up toward the center any amount. You could choose stillness, or maybe you'd like to find movement differently. Maybe you'd like to let one arm rest toward the side of the body, and the other arm you might like to reach up toward the ceiling any amount. If you did that, you might notice some sensation maybe around your shoulder, maybe around your side body. You could choose to stay here, or you could reach your arm up and overhead any amount if that felt right for you. You might choose to stay here, or if you wanted, you can come back and toward the center. I like to let your arm rest down alongside your body. And if you choose, you can reach your opposite arm out toward the side, out toward the ceiling, or anywhere in between. You might have noticed some sensations, your shoulders, your side body, if you chose that. And you can stay here, or you can reach up and overhead if you want to. You might choose to stay here. If it feels right, you might make your way back and toward the center. I like to let your arms rest down alongside your body if you choose. And if you want to, you might notice sensation. Maybe you'd like to try some movement differently. Maybe you'd like to move your body from one side and then to the next. You can decide if that feels supportive or useful. And just noticing what you notice, it might be that you notice some sensation around your core muscles as you're moving from one side to the next. Decide if this feels best for you, or maybe you'd like to try movement a little differently, and you can always do that in any way that works for you. But one way might be to reach forward and backward. Maybe that you notice that sensation maybe around your core muscles, maybe around your low back. So you can continue these movements. Maybe you'd like to be moving from side to side, you could be moving forward and backward, you might be choosing stillness. You might also decide to make more of a circle with your upper body around your lower body. And so these circles can be bigger or smaller. You can be moving more quickly or more slowly. You might decide, you might notice if you're moving in one direction and then decide if that direction feels best, or if you want to, you might decide to make the movement in the opposite direction. Just noticing what you notice. Maybe there's some movement around your core muscles, maybe around your low back. You might not be noticing any sensation at all, and that's okay. You're invited to continue this movement as long as you want to. At some point, if it felt right, you might like to make your way back in toward the center or in towards stillness. And you could choose to find movement differently, maybe by extending one leg forward. And you can extend that leg forward as much as or little as you'd like. Your opposite leg might be bent, and you might have the foot toward the inside, anywhere toward the inside of your extended leg. And with your upper body, you might choose to stay more upright, or maybe you'd like to reach forward with your collarbones, any amount. If you chose that, there could be some sensation in through the back of your leg. You might decide if that feels right for you, or you could, if you wanted to, maybe make your way back up to a more upright shape. And then if you wanted to, you could switch. So maybe you'd like to extend the opposite leg, then the other knee, and have that foot come anywhere toward the inside of the extended leg. Decide if it's best for you to stay more upright with your upper body. You might like to reach forward with your upper body. Maybe you chose that there could be some sensation through the back of your leg. You might choose to stay here, or maybe you'd like to come back up to a more upright shape. And we could try movement differently if you want. So one way could be to maybe draw the soles of your feet in toward each other. It might feel best for you to have your feet further away, or maybe closer in towards your upper upper body. And you can have your hands wherever you'd like, maybe around your legs, your feet, or on the floor. You might choose to stay might choose to stay upright with your upper body, or you might choose to reach forward with your collarbones. And you're welcome to stay there if you want, or you can come back and toward the center if you choose. And you're welcome to make your way back and toward a comfortable seat. And if you'd like to, in your own time, in your own way, I'm ready to close practice with the breath. And that might be maybe having your hands wherever it's best for you, maybe into your legs, or maybe in towards your midline, or maybe somewhere on your body. And then if you'd like to close practice with the breath, we can breathe together. So if you want to, it might be that we start on an exhale. So if you'd like, we can exhale, inhale, and exhale. Thank you for your practice. May you go